distinguished guests, esteemed speakers, respected partners, and fellow advocates. On behalf of the DMV area justice seekers and the whole Eritrean community in the DMV and surrounding states, it is my great honor to thank you for choosing DC to hold the International Conference on Eritrea, the cause and consequence of dictatorship in Eritrea. This gathering was made possible through the collaboration of several Eritrean organizations, and it represents a powerful coalition committed to truth, justice, and democratic change in Eritrea. Today, we are joined by an extraordinary group of speakers and thought leaders. These individuals bring with them decades of scholarship, activism, and diplomatic experience. Their insights today is and will help us unpack the historic, political, and humanitarian dimensions of Eritrean persecution and explore pathway of accountability and lasting reform. As we convene from early morning until evening, let us listen deeply, engage respectfully, and leave here with more informed and more united in our missions. This conference is not only a space for dialogue, it should also serve as a platform for action. Let's this day reaffirm our shared commitment to build a just, democratic, and free Eritrea. Welcome and thank you for being here, and thank you for choosing DC. And I would also like to thank all participants in organizing this event, especially our mothers and sisters for providing most of what we are enjoying at this time. So thank you guys, and that's all.
Thank you, Mr. Philippos. Okay, the next presenter is one of the most popular and hard worker, close friend, and family for me particularly, is Professor Araya Debesay. Let me give you a short bio, and then you will come to the stage to present, the same. Professor Araya is an emeritus of the University of Delaware. His first degree is from Haile Selassie First University and in Addis Ababa. But he has received his master's degree in accounting and MBA and PhD in accounting from university that he had professional certifications as CPA and management accounting. As you may know him, he's a very hardworking guy, and I almost, envy his caliber and his energy. And recently, what he have done, you have seen it, he knows a lot of people. And again, he's here and to give us, some remarks and his presentation. So, would you please join me in welcoming Professor Araya Debesay to the stage?
Hello, okay. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Dr. Daniel, thank you for your very kind introduction. But let me first thank Dr. Hannibal Mikel and also Dr. Daniel Harte really for taking the initiative to organize this timely and important conference. But I just finished eating dinner, so I can't help but appreciate the Eritrean Women Association in the DMV area for providing us this wonderful, delicious meal. So, as explained by the organizers of this international conference on Eritrea, the purpose of this conference is to draw attention to the bleak situation facing the Eritrean people, who have suffered for over 30 years under the ruthless dictatorial regime of Isaias Afwerki. The 9 presenters have covered various aspects that depict the grim realities in Eritrea. The organizers have asked me to give a submission statement, which essentially I will rehash in a very brief way what the 9 papers convey to all of us. Now, we all know that Eritrea is in a dire situation. As our first speaker, Ambassador Haile Karius, has highlighted this morning, Eritrea is being ruled by an absolute dictator who has ruined the country and emptied it from its most productive resource, its youth. Ambassador Haile knows Isaias Afwerki from way back at the trenches in Sahel. He has also witnessed Isaias' dictatorial tendencies as one of the top officials of the Isaias government after independence. For those who ask, quote, how is it possible for someone who fought to free the Eritrean people from Ethiopian occupation ends up being more repressive than any of the previous foreign occupiers? Ambassador Haile has candidly answered the question. Ambassador Haile has told us that the dictatorial tendencies of Isaias Afwerki were visible way before the independence of Eritrea. But given the formidable enemy they were fighting against, those who were unhappy with Isaias' dictatorial tendencies had to restrain themselves from raising controversial political issues that may have weakened their fighting capacity. That kind of self-discipline may have helped prevail against the enemy. But in retrospect, that was a costly error that has haunted them in the final analysis. True to the dictatorial nature, Isaias continued his absolute control and centralization of decision-making in independent Eritrea. By creating one conflict after another with Eritrea's neighbors, Isaias managed to deflect the attention of those who were keen to question his authoritarian leadership by starting the war with Ethiopia in 1998. He found an excellent excuse to derail the implementation of the constitution and became the undisputed military and political leader of the post-independent Eritrea. When the G15 mustered the courage to challenge Isaias' dictatorial tendencies, were lucky enough to avoid his grip. Ambassador Haile was candid enough to confess that those EPLF members, particularly those in position of authority, do bear collective responsibility for their failure to restrain ISIS. This is an honest and admirable self-criticism. Our second speaker, Dr. Tasfamika highlighted the damage inflicted on the Eritrean people by ISIS's dictatorial regime. Dr. Tasfamika, using demographic data from the UN and other sources, demonstrated the worrying demographic situation in Eritrea, which he described as the ugly side of the harm that is being committed against the country and its people. Dr. Tasfamika underscored the worrisome decline of the Eritrean population caused by low birth rate, high mortality, and mass migration. ISIS is guilty of having emptied the country of its most productive resources. Its use, as Dr. Tasfamika has pointed out, the decline in the human capital in Eritrea is a key factor that has contributed to the country's poverty and backwardness. As Dr. Tasfamika has correctly observed, the Eritrean people inside their country are heavily reliant for their survival on remittances from the diaspora. Dr. Tasfamika identified several misguided policies that have contributed to the depopulation of the country, which has resulted to the poverty and backwardness that Eritrea finds itself in. First, the insatiable appetite for war and conflict. Eritrea is the only country in modern history that has waged wars against all its neighbors. That is Sudan, Yemen, Djibouti, and Ethiopia. Second, the endless so-called national service that forced the Eritrean youth to flee the country despite the risks that they have to face. And third and fourth, mass incarceration of the population and its gross violation of human rights and religious rights that has earned Eritrea the #1 rank for being the highest producer of refugees and asylum seekers relative to its size. Given the dire situation the country is facing, Dr. Tasfamika reminds us the responsibility we all have to bringing about democratic change in Eritrea as a matter of urgency. Thank you, Dr. Tasfamika, for this timely reminder for action to end the misery of the Eritrean people. Our third speaker, Professor Mengistav Tesveranus, spoke on, quote, the challenges of effective utilization of natural resources and capabilities for sustainable economic development in Eritrea. Professor Mengistav has elaborated on how the mismanagement of the human, physical, financial, and organizational administrative resources have crippled Eritrea from making any economic progress. This is attributed to the authoritarian one-person rule the country has been through its inception. It's clear, as Professor Mengistav has pointed out, that, quote, Eritrea has continued to suffer from multiple dimensional social, economic, and political malaise to the extent of testing its very existence as a viable state with sovereign people, end of quote. Professor Mengistab has prescribed steps that should be taken in the aftermath of regime change, quote, to establish effective, transparent, and efficient management of its resources and capabilities for achieving sustainable development endeavors. Incidentally, the mismanagement of Eritrea's resources should not come as a surprise to all of us. Isaias has openly told us that all the factories inherited from previous occupiers have vanished due to inefficient management. And he has the nerve to tell us that Massawa, that was the pearl of the Red Sea, has become a ghost town. No wonder. Eritrea is the most impoverished country in the world. We have to accept that no improvement can take place as long as Isaias is in power. On the positive side, Eritrea has individuals such as Professor Mengistab and the many members of the Eritrean Research Institute for Policy and Strategy, ERIPS, as in the diaspora, who are already preparing policy statements and blueprints to accelerate the development of Eritrea in post-Isaias government. If we can only do what we need to do to get rid of Isaias and his cliques, we will develop our country soon. The fourth speaker, Dr. Nobrahatu Atobrahan, spoke about Eritrea's new natural parks, the Dahlak Marine National Park and the Semenawi Bahari National Park. Dr. Nobrahatu elaborated the contributions such parks could have made to Eritrea's economic development. He spoke how having such well-managed parks would align modern conservation principles and sustainability practice. Unfortunately, like many other failed initiatives, these parks are less likely to serve the dual purpose of environmental partnerships, preservations, and local development under Isaias' administration. No surprises here. Nothing good can be expected that will help the development of Eritrea from Isaias' dictatorial regime. Again, post-Isaias Eritrea will benefit from the expertise and experiences of scholars such as Professor Dr. Nobrahatu, a marine scientist who will help the country to benefit from its marine resources to accelerate its development. The fifth speaker, Dr. Michael Rubin. Dr. Rubin has been vocal about his opposition to Isaias. He attributes the dismal state of affairs in Eritrea and the instability in the Horn of Africa to the dictatorial regime and due to the dictatorial and despotic rule of Isaias. Eritreans at home or in the diaspora should not expect any improvement in the economic or social aspects of Eritrea as long as Isaias is in control. Hence, the priority should be to get rid of the dictator by any means possible. Mr. Rubin has given us many valuable ideas that can help us to cultivate supporters to the oppressed Eritrean people. His ideas of how we should conduct our lobbying efforts is advice we should take to heart seriously if we are to bring about positive change in our country. The sixth speaker, Mr. Martin Plaut, a renowned former BBC reporter who is who has intimate knowledge of Eritrea, has asked a very pertinent question. Quote, he asked, there is one central question that is genuinely puzzling about Eritrea. Why its people who fought with such courage for 30 years to achieve independence and freedom, only to allow the fruits of their suffering to be denied them for more than 3 decades. End of quote. How puzzling indeed. But we have to remember, those inside the country have been mercilessly silenced for any sign of discontent with Isaiah's administration. Eritrea does not have any factories that produce goods or services, but it has over 350 prisons where Eritreans who show any semblance of opposition to the regime are being incarcerated. Thousands of Eritrean sons and children who had the potential to challenge the authoritarian regime had to flee the country because of the deplorable conditions at home. And it's heartbreaking to know that Eritrea has become the uncontested champion in producing the highest number of refugees and asylum seekers in the world relative to its side. One thing is clear. The reason diaspora Eritreans have been ineffective and important to bring about democratic change and Eritrea is offered simply because they are not united and they are too fragmented. Okay, I'm being asked to make it short. I guess that is right because I've been a long day for you. But the last, the seventh speaker, Dr. Professor Kidane Mengistab, spoke about partitioning Eritrea's ethnic groups. What was remarkable about Professor Kidane that he told us is that all the 9 ethnic groups in Eritrea, except the billion, are partitioned into different countries by colonialism. As he correctly pointed out, this condition has important implications in nation building as well as in foreign relations with its neighbors, especially Sudan, Ethiopia, Djibouti, etc. Anyway, what I'm trying to cut it short. Professor Kidane has reminded us that Eritrea in post-Isaiah's era has to manage the diversity of the Eritrean people if we are to have a strong, united nation worthy of this name. Having a country with partitioned ethnic groups will demand special effort in nation building and in cultivating peaceful regional relationships so that the Eritrean people can live side by side at peace with its neighbors. The 8th speaker was Dan Cornell, and since you are all here listening to him, all that I want to say is Dan again asked the same pertinent question, similar to what Martin Plaut asked. How can people who manage to win their independence against all odds find themselves in a situation they are now? He wonders if this is just the megalomania of Isaiah, or is it something in the political culture of EPLF or the history of the culture of Eritrea. I think Ambassador Haile has answered these questions. We have to acknowledge that there is no rational explanation to what Isaias has done to destroy his own country. Dan Cornell advised Eritreans in the diaspora that they have to unite if at all they are going to bring about democratic change in Eritrea. This is, again, a timely reminder that we should take into our...
I would like to welcome Araya to this forum, and she will say some words, but we thank you for the things that you're doing. We really appreciate it. And Araya, would you come forward, please?
Salam penuh, Pak. Enquanto anda tahu, شمية يردانس قبل مسكالي بهاد دوم برناي محبر دك انستي إرتراويان بتعمي حبنا فينا نزيد مسيهم قبرو زلوهم سبانسر كنقبر عاديا بإنجليش مجلس أفضلنا فوزيها أني بتقرين نخدم برناي ودحر فوزيها عاديا قبر أسرار thank you
thank you بسلام مساكم زخبركم من تساتفتي إرتراويان فتوتي إرتراويان ملكاو وسعى أب هاجرنا نزختلو عنوت تنكن صعبين كبيدا استحيسكم كتمايتو أمودعتا دما فتح تناديو أبزل جماعكم بسم محور دك انستيو بسن كبابيان أزينا مسجد مهوراتن كإلاتاتن إرتراويان فتوتي إرتران أبزقابي أقاطامي كما ديتاتكم يحواتكم أكال زمسرح كنكون مخالنا حبل لا تسمعنا نز مدرخ نتكلمو تلمي عويته هو زلنا تلميت عبو مخانو كجلس فتو زخبركم برباتي كلهم قداي حجرنا بستفعل لي درجان كنتن كما تكتاتلو أبزو وانزي هزبنان حجرنا ودي قوة زلو مجلس زي بلو أبتحت سماء اللوز بهال مكران قفعن تسكيمون تدنيسو أبزللو اللوان بحاجة وجن نزخنت مفقر بدخنتن قفعن زم حاضر زلو سرعات بدخل مدايكا نزخنتات تجنزيبو بحادنت بستود دبي لايك أرس استراتيجي هاجرن هزبن كدحن زي كالي زي تمر هلاوي زونن دنبلو تسل زلنا إنه كم هزبن هاجرن كسالنتنا بزسكف زي عود جودنا أمو بعد نركب محبر سب عالم نإرتراويان زوردنا قفعن مكران نبتتان مدسياتنا سدرابيتاتنا بتدقاقامي أوياتنا سمعو أبكمين نبر كان زلنا مسكيرون سندو لقوان تخوني نحنا إرتراويان بفلايك تملوتن نمسا أنك ألس بب زكالنا بدرجة ولكن ودابتاتن استفلا لي وصعرتات نكايد مهلاونا زي كحد لقوان تخوني بحبراوي أمارن رأي تماكلنا نابعوت وسد هاجر وحيل خنفتر زي مقالنا كابو حليفون أب هاجرنا زلو زسقط كنت هلاوين مقيار زخئل استفل لي وعلماون كبابياون تفترهم الناس نبور عدلات بب مدرخو كي تتقلنا اللون بمحلافنا نأشتن عبيتن من قستات هنا محبرات عالمنا خي ترفع مسكرو كابتم عبيتي قدلتاتنا يوم كبرات دكا هاجر نحنا ولاد مهزان استشكمنا عبيتاتكم يحواتكم متن نزس السقف تريو هاجرنا هزبنا بمولق حيلنا نخلو ان الساتفون كبيلون زسنا حنا سلازخونا دحر تدقاقامي فتنتات أبكار بأوان حادث بقصو بموساد مسكماكم ذا مسلو موراتن صلوتن انبلوم دقا هاجر بموكاس حادي نخلاتنا هو كل زخل دبلوماسن قطبان سندان زقلقل تمر حيل عمام بمفتار بسبع من كإلاتاتن تدقفنا توقسو وسيدنا أبصرح لنا أبزغت سيلنا انبار إذن يلومي أخيبا نتوقسونا زدرع نسترفن اتفتاتنا زكالاتف كوينو كابزي نابي زبل حتو كنملس يلابو أموداتا كلنا مهوراتن مكوراتن إرتراويان لمن أسات دكنا تسفا خوينا نزحجي أبهجرنا زخي الزلون ناي تفقات من قدخن كيروب زي مقالنا نحنا بعلنا ناي تاريخ تحدثكم مخالنا أطبقنا خنسمر اللون دلي نحنا نسخاتكم اتياتهم ازياتهم أبزبل زوريات أمزز زود دقتم وكروخ إن دقم نلابو هزبنان هاجرنا نمدحان كنقالات أتبيرنا نصور سلام كسانة النزبي إرترا thank you.
Good afternoon to the panelists, all the Eritreans and friends of Eritreans. To the panels, we, the Eritrean Women's Organization, appreciate and value your time and effort that you have taken to come up with these amazing and well-researched presentations and sound conclusions. We understand that these presentations involve measurable time and commitment. The different presentations that you presented here has brought forth the dire situation in Eritrea, but also it has highlighted the tremendous potential of Eritrea past the current dictatorial regime. In the past 3 decades, the world has witnessed and documented the suffering of our youth and their journeys through Libya, Sinai, Sahara to escape Eritrea and to reach safety. It has also witnessed the disintegration of our families and societies in Eritrea. Eritreans, unless we have come together and combine all of our efforts, we cannot succeed. Finally, the Eritrean Women Organization will call on all Eritreans, professionals, experts, and youth to come together and focus on the big picture. The focus should not be on our weaknesses, but on the potential of our contribution to build a just and free Eritrea. The Eritrean Women Organization is proud to actively participate and contribute to this event. Thank you very much.